Yeah, and we already have Mariia with us. How are you?
Hello, everyone. Good.
Nice.
So we can start.
Yeah, I think we can start and have a longer break after your speech.
Okay, great. So hello, everyone. My name is Mariia Abdullina. I'm head of project portfolio and efficiency management division in Raiffeisen Bank Ukraine. I'm working in banking industry since 2009 and was leading one of the greatest team of IT professionals for some time and built strong governance and finance function in the bank. And after a while was promoted to head of project portfolio division. And since 2020, I'm driving transformation activities in our bank. And today I would like to talk about our journey, how we become the winners of the most and greatest awards, PMO Global Awards organized by PMO Global Alliance. I will start sharing my screen and will tell you our journey. So just give me a second and you should see my screen. So already to start with our great trophy, which we recently got from America. Thank you very much. It's really very nice and proves the importance and proves all the efforts we put to win this prize. So to give you a little bit of more context, who we are. So we are Raiffeisen Bank, part of the Raiffeisen International Banking Group in Ukraine. And we are one of the network banks, one of the 14 banks in the group. And we have more than 6,500 people in our bank who are working and doing our best for our clients. If to talk about our market position, we are number 2 bank largest on our Ukrainian market in terms of net profit after tax. Based on assets and liabilities portfolio, we are number 4 and number 3 bank based off in terms of performing loans. So I believe that that will help you to understand the size of our organization and how big we are. So to continue with our PMO journey. So we organized the PMO first in 2008. And there we were very much relying on our group operating model. And as soon as we are part of the group, this played a very strong role there and help us to build quite strong central PMO function in the organization. We used the guidelines from the group, and even few senior project managers joined our team to help us and to build necessary baseline. And our key achievement was in that time to separate, run the bank activities and change the bank activities, to define the approach we manage our changes in the organization and introduce function of the project manager itself. Then in 2010, there was like change the bank activities were managed by different units. So not only PMO, but it also was decentralized, and different business experts from other verticals were managing projects as well. And everyone was using more or less their own approaches, which led to certain misunderstanding on different levels. That's why it was decided to centralize the function, and you under one umbrella and use same guidance, same approaches. Then later on, we had our portfolio, which increased very much, and we had huge investments in hardware and software solutions, working with vendors, and that required a lot of attention from the financial point of view. And at that time, the financial management was added as an additional function to help and build this transparency on where we invest in and how we make decisions and better prioritize our activities in the portfolio. At that time, we built master data in order to centrally store all information and manage our budgets, actuals, and forecasts. We built the demand supply management process and built good cooperation relations with IT units on questions of supply and necessary capacity from IT side. As well, the strong competence that was built was also admitted and recognized in Ukraine, where Raiffeisen Bank PMO got or was recognized as the best PMO in Ukraine. And at this stage, I need to say that we built very good classical PMO, where key focus area was support, control, and kind of common style of managing change the bank activities. But times are changing, market is changing, and the approach how you manage your activities, innovations in the company are also changing. And in 2015, we started to use and to practice first agile projects. And here the key driver was the first one who started that was again our head office. And they, our group, and they started to experiment with Scrum, and that gave a very positive experience. And afterwards, we were suggested to also pilot it in our bank. And in 2015 and 16, we started our first projects using Scrum. A Scrum Master role was introduced, established, and we started with our communities. Scrum Master and product owners communities were running then until 2018. We provided training programs to all participants of the projects. But then again, and the next challenging part has come, and we are trying to find best operating model in order to support not only like the approaches, agile approaches in IT, but also to cover transformation in other banking areas. And at that time, in 2019, transformation office was established, and in addition to Scrum Master role, we introduced Agile Coaches. And as I mentioned, the task force or the vision was to introduce the changes not only IT but also in other areas like branches or even support functions who started to try new things. And the competitive environment and turbulence on the market really enforced us to speed up our transformation and to try different approaches. We had first 12 adaptive teams organized. We introduced approach selection criteria, which allow us to choose if we go with classical project, if we go with adaptive team, or we run our change as a small initiative, as a fast lane. We also introduced a lot of instruments and tools which have supported our innovation activities. Like we move all documentation to Confluence, we use Jira, Agile plugins, and we implemented Office 365, which really help us to build this good and smooth remote work between our distributed teams. And we established regular review cycles then for all our adaptive teams. In 2020, our PMO went on another stage of transformation, where we moved a little bit higher, and the key role of PMO has become to manage bank strategy and efficiently manage our change activities, projects, program management. Also, one change was decided to be done is to move Scrum Masters to IT in order to strengthen transformation on IT side and build better cooperation between team members in adaptive teams. As a result, we tried to be flexible. We tried to hear our key stakeholders and got very great support from our management. And based on this trust, we built our new functions. And our PMO office has become a service unit in the bank, which provides related services to different stakeholders group. Our main customer, and also to be efficient with our services, we run feedback cycles. And last very big feedback cycle was done in 2020, where we collect feedback, where we run design sprint and made empathic interviews with our key stakeholders group. And based on this feedback, we defined best services on PMO side to support our stakeholders. The next session is planned for the next year, but nevertheless, in addition to such a big feedback cycles, we collect regularly feedback after each investment committee from all the stakeholders and define small improvements which we take on our way. So as I mentioned, we have different stakeholder groups, and key consumers of PMO functions and PMO services in the bank are, of course, board and supervisory board. As part, we as part of Raiffeisen Bank group, also our head office is one of our customer, and of course internal divisions, internal functions like controlling also is a consumer of our services. And key B-1 managers who are business owners, business requesters of the changes, and IT, and of course part of the team's business and IT experts. And PMO aims to help business and IT experts to correctly prepare the ideas, discuss different advantages and disadvantages based on selected approach to tackle the change. We support also the resource discussion, prioritization, budget, and after go decision, we also implement the ideas. So our project managers are implementing the changes based on the defined or taken decision. So there are different stakeholder groups in our bank to whom we are providing our services, and I will explain in few details, in more details, which kind of them. So to B-1's business and IT experts, we provide assistance and support from the period when idea is created to its realization, and also lessons learned, not only for changes which are related to IT, but also non-IT and cost optimization activities, for example. We define change the bank operating model and methodologies, tools which we are using and approaches, and provide trainings on them. Then one of the key function is the demand management. So we collect ideas and plan our pipelines jointly with business for upcoming years and 3 years. So in long-term and short-term perspective, discuss capabilities on IT side to support these changes and plan budgeting. And as well, regular reporting is the standard function of the PMO office. As well, we facilitate and organize our investment committee, which help us to manage our portfolio and the strategy. And it's about creating our roadmap. It's about organizing portfolio reviews, where we see all the dependencies. We can prioritize our activities, which we have in our portfolio. And the most mature PMO office is investment committee organization and facilitation. Why we think so? Because we have a lot of lessons learned, and we went through different stages of the investment committee organization. We moved from project committee to investment committee, from pure planning to really thinking what is the outcome and impact of every initiative, every project or team which we have in our portfolio. What is their contribution to the bank strategy? And we, during the preparation of the investment committee, we support teams and projects in preparing the documents. We give them recommendation. We support them in defining right methodology, and then, of course, provide full portfolio overview to our investment committee members. So what we did in the last years is that we synchronized and we all our activities, and we put them on one list during the investment committee. So there are no any more separate decisions or ad hoc decisions. We really review our portfolio once per quarter, both adaptive teams and projects, and which prepare minimum required materials, which includes backlog or release plan, budget or budget estimations, risk assessment. And the slide deck also includes the strategic mapping, the link to the strategy, dependencies, goals, and KPIs, and organizational structure of the team. So we really accumulated the rich experience how to provide transparent decision making and tracking efficiently our project portfolio activities. But currently, PMO is going through the transformation, and we are more and more going to use adaptive practices. And to strengthen this, I would say that currently we have more than 70% of our portfolio run in adaptive mode. We have less projects. At the same time, we are using hybrid modes when product owner runs his team, project manager runs a project under one umbrella managed by business owner. And during these changes, there are two critically important things to be successful. For us, it's trying new techniques and methods, to use best practices. And also, it's a succession of the Raiffeisen Bank International Group experience, which is quite broad, and the communities which we have really help us to get best experience from every network unit, and then based on this combination of old and new techniques, build best approaches which fit our organization. So there are still a lot of improvement areas for PMO, and if to talk about transparency of project portfolio and achieving goals, so PMO is providing an analytical support, and analysis what we have in the portfolio in retrospective manner. We discuss in different format how to use this data to support the discussion, what went well, what went wrong, what we need to improve, and to define the next steps. As I mentioned, we are setting up a transparent decision making process, and here the PMO role is to be this play a gatekeeper role, to check if defined rules are followed, give recommendation, and in the understandable way. In regards to project portfolio planning, the key challenge, of course, is to link all activities to our bank strategy, which is not always the case, but we minimize such cases. Build a regular review process for projects result and for our adaptive teams, where we established every 3 months review cycle. We organize investment committee and provide enough level of information to make a decision. So we inform all involved parties about the materials prepared, about the portfolio overview. We coach our business requesters on how to pitch at investment committee, how to better structure their presentation, and in order to have the decision, as well as to support with right methodology selection. We define prioritization methods for our activities in the bank portfolio and coordinate this process. And here the key thing which is taken into account is our bank strategy and then development plans which exist in every business area. And our task is to keep the track that all involved parties follow the same process and execute the activities. And in case something was not delivered, then the case is to explain what were the reasons and what we plan to do to change this. It also could be that some of the hypotheses didn't work out, and that's also fine. That's exactly the bets we do when coming to investment committee. And agile practices, as I mentioned, we are going through this transformation and we are using more and more adaptive practices. And I would say that it's not only about using them in our change the bank activities, but also all over the organization. We are using some of the ceremonies, some of the tools, and I would say that almost all our teams are planning the task or using Kanban to manage their work with the team. In 2020, the adaptive organizational model has been implemented in order to support further adaptive practices implementation. As I mentioned, there are different types of approaches which we use to tackle the change, like classical projects, fast lane, which is small initiatives, and also adaptive setup, which use Agile, Scrum, or Kanban, including the hybrids, when product manager is running, product owner is running the team, and project manager is running the project managed under one umbrella. So the adaptive organizational model ensures the transparency on the value which is generated by business and creates the need to manage dependencies internally, to manage risk and efficiently distribute budget and resources based on prioritized tasks in the backlog to deliver at most. And contribute most to the business targets. The most challenging, I would say, innovation for us currently is strategic and quarterly planning, where we look on what our strategic objectives are, what our KPIs, and what teams or projects contribute to those, and make decisions based on highest contribution. Where, for example, ROI help us to make a decision across the portfolio. Quarterly planning is most challenging. We use Kanban board to visualize all the dependencies, internal and external, to manage them across the team and define action plan how to decrease number of dependencies between our teams and projects in future, as it helps us to be faster and more independent in value delivery. Performance management and portfolio status give us a good insight on how our portfolio performs and how we are progressing towards our strategy, and what are the results as of this quarter and what is planned for the next quarter. Our projects, for example, provide their monthly status reviews and discuss them monthly on the whiteboards together with risk and dependencies. At the same time, I told that 70% of our portfolio is about adaptive teams, and there you can't just track with some status report. That's why we go to the way of team maturity assessment. So we choose a few KPIs from engineering practices to evaluate team's ability to be agile. That help us to have this continuous improvement cycle and define what teams need to do. So we evaluated on a monthly basis, discuss with product owners and the Scrum Masters, give recommendation what needs to be improved and how to achieve that as well. Then product owners use this information to work out with their teams the improvement plan. A number of events help us to evolve organizational maturity. One of the example is our regular demo days. So bi-weekly demo days or sprint reviews are organized for all adaptive setups, and they are open to all stakeholders across the organization, where any interested can come, ask questions, listen to what is the current sprint achievement, what are the goal of the next sprint, and which functionality to expect in the next 2 weeks. As well, we have regular stay in touch for project managers, where they share their concerns, their questions, and we can discuss jointly with PMO and develop certain ways out from particular situations. We have town halls to share information and to stay informed about any changes which are done on the organizational level. We have whiteboards to discuss status reviews, for example, and much more. As I mentioned, we introduced team maturity assessment to measure how teams are developing, but on organizational level, there is adaptive expert assessment. It was defined by our RBI group and performed by our Agile Coaches jointly with the team. And this evaluation gives, so to say, benchmark also for the group to compare different network units and then define also on organizational level. In this case, those improvements that need to be done, those strong and weak sides which we need to work on. And on the group level, that help us to share best practices and key findings in all the areas, and so to say, common patterns in the agile transformation. As well, we have communities of practice. We have Scrum Master Guild, which was established in 2019, and it combines Scrum Masters who are working in different feature teams across the organization. And they come together to share what is going on in their teams, what are the open issues, and how to, and they jointly find solution based on real cases in their team. And as a result, this works as a good knowledge platform, knowledge sharing platform across the organization. To continue with the communities, so it's not about only Scrum Masters, but also in the project management area, we have the same. And on the group level, our regular communities with group PMO and PMOs in other banks help us to share our best practices and also to reuse this or that in some particular cases. And we have more and more that especially in recent years. So the collaboration across the group is very much supported. We share our lessons learned, and in project management, it's also very important to share those findings and learnings you had, not to repeat the mistakes you did already, or to find common solutions, common approaches for future. As well, from our group, we have great learning events, great programs for product owners and Scrum Masters. We have Go IT Academy, which invites external trainers and speakers who help to build understanding what is the role of product owners and Scrum Masters all over the countries, I would say. So if to talk about value which PMO is creating for organizations, so it's about portfolio and strategy overview. It's about defining clear and understandable rules, ensure that they are followed, sometimes cost optimization. And PMO is responsible to provide and full information to investment committee members so that they have enough information to make their decisions. As well, PMO is introducing single standards for program projects, adaptive teams, and fast lanes. You may see here one of the example, the extract from the approach selection criteria which are defined in our organization. And we are supporting our business requesters in choosing the best that fit their goals and will help them at the end deliver their results in the best way. And here, we as a PMO are trying to adapt to business needs. We try to listen to our stakeholders and understand what is the issue and how best we can. So we are not anymore following the strict approach and telling, okay, you need to do this and that, you need to supply your report until that deadline. But we really try to listen to our customer. And about listening the customer, this is one of the latest trends, and focus areas. We have even Customer Experience Academy, which train our people to listen to their customer, to really develop the products which are then valued by our clients. And some of the teams and projects delivered quite good solutions, probably are known to you, like Raiffeisen Online or Raiffeisen Business Online, where customers could easily manage their funds without visiting the branch or putting some or signing some papers. So trying to have our services digital. If to talk about our strategy and setting our KPIs, so our performance agreement are built on clearly defined KPIs which are contributing to our strategy, and to incentivize the right behavior, the right link to our strategy. And we have regular performance review for our employees twice a year, mid-review and final year. And for the teams, as I mentioned, we have every 3 months review at investment committee. So the future role of PMO is really to become a trusted partner to our stakeholders, to support management in strategy execution and delivering best results. And of course, it wouldn't be possible without right management support. And I think the biggest challenge here to really be relevant for PMOs, to be able to explain to your stakeholders and executives what is the value which PMO can provide to organization. And of course, talented people who help to drive the change, who help to really execute then the agreements. You may ask, how do you ensure the alignment between strategy then and project portfolio? And this is about having this full portfolio overview, strategic review, based on quarterly cycles, and to have this link of every project or adaptive team to your strategy goal, to understand your commitment and focus on its business impact. So go from the planning to really thinking what is the impact. As soon as our market environment is so much competitive and we have so many new companies coming to the market which increase the competition, you need to be much flexible. You can't anymore approve your project and then review the progress in 1 year. You need to always keep an eye if anything has changed and adopt your priorities, adopt your vision and invest in those areas which contributes more to your strategy. And here, PMO will not be successful without proper management support, as I told, which the goal would be of the executives to help to eliminate the impediments on the organizational level, to set clear goals, what is expected from PMO, and then it would help to deliver what is expected. So I would say that that's probably it from my side, which I wanted to share with you today, and I would be really happy to answer your questions. Yeah, I believe it was interesting to you.
Nice. Thanks a lot for such a practical case to be shared. Thank you.
Thank you.
Indeed, there are a lot of questions in the chat, so let us go through them. So yeah, the first one, what would you recommend to those who are going to establish the PMO at their organization?
I would say that you would need to start small. Yeah, you saw that it took us many years to come such a maturity level of the PMO. So it would take some few years definitely. So start small, start with the diagnostic of what your stakeholder groups, what do they expect from PMO to be done. Yeah, it will differentiate from a company to company. That's why listen to what stakeholder is expecting to you and then build your proposal based on this expectation. I think that's the best approach.
I have indeed actually the very close question to this one is
Yeah,
that
sure.
how was the buy-in obtained to open the PMO, or was it already that mature level in the top management that they will suggest like, oh guys, we want PMO or something?
Look, we had such specific situation because in that time, Raiffeisen Bank Group bought our bank here in Ukraine, and a lot of such governance things were just brought from the group company. So it was not something that had to be discussed. Yeah, and it was just done, followed group guidance, group recommendations, and as I mentioned, few senior project managers joined our team to support this, and that's also good. You know, if you have someone to learn about and you don't need to build it from scratch, you can just like copy paste and then you can evolve. So
yeah, I see. That's interesting that we have a question in the chat. Can you recall the top 3 reasons when the teams resist process changed, like that one introduced from the top?
Well, I would say that there is, of course, the resistance to the changes, and on different levels, and depends. Yeah, so here which example to take? I can take like from the PMO. So the moment we introduce some new rule or new approach, then of course some are more positive, some are negative, but here we use the following approach, that we try to find early followers, yeah, early adapters who really buy in, who see the positive things and improvements for them, and the rest are then coming in. And here, any change you do, I think the most important thing is to explain what is for you in it. Yeah, if you see the value for yourself and really improvement, which will simplify your work, which will really make it more faster, then it will, of course, bring you understanding and support in any change you do.
Yeah. Yeah, of course, I understand that you cannot share any specific details, so I will frame my question
Yeah.
in that way. Uh, did all these changes in the organization related to PMO add a specific attrition reason to your HR department? Like, I'm not happy with with the recent changes.
Um, yes and no. Yeah. Yes and no. First, we are doing really quite big transformations on overall organization, and that's brings some turbulence, some disruption in your work, and of course, people feel uncomfortable. But here, the more you communicate, the more people feel comfortable about the change. And from this curve of change, when you come to some depression, and then it depends how much time you stay on it, and then you go up. So our task is really to communicate more, to help people to go through this way faster. And yeah, currently I must say that we have really positive and great results of our engagement survey, and just recently it was shared, and we have really great improvement on almost all areas. So I believe we went through this this curve, and we already up.
Okay, I see. Okay, the next question from the chat. What was the most difficult part during transformation when you started using Scrum? Were there situations when valuable employees couldn't adjust to the new environment?
Of course, there were some such cases. First thing which we try to do is to explain what are the roles in this approach, and who, like every person, what is not only your responsibilities, but what you also can demand from other team members, and that help to understand every team member what is his role. Of course, understanding of the ceremonies, why you need to do retros, how they help you, and that's again about explaining the reason why. Good knowledge base. So what we try to do with the first teams, we try to first give them knowledge, train them, and then also to provide support during their journey, because it's not only important to give it at the very start point, but then to maintain it. And that's why role of agile coach is also very important, because they can come from time to time and try to help to define teams where they need to improve more, why they need to improve more, and support on this way. And the also biggest challenge is then on product owner side, because in projects it was like previously with waterfall, it was more a common style where you have your scope, you divide your task, and then you just track if you did it in time or not. Here with the adaptive practices, with agile, you need to have this buy-in of the team, so that they understand the vision, they understand the product, they listen to the client. What we practice from time to time is that full team, when they ready with the prototype, they go to the client, they have this interview, and they listen to the feedback, direct feedback, whether client will buy such product or not, and then they adopt.
Okay. Who were the typical members of your initial setup of Scrum teams? Which roles did they carry out in the organization?
If to talk about initial, yeah, the very beginning, it were like the same people from the IT, developers, testers, Scrum Masters were one of the project managers who wanted to try this role and try something new. And they, at that time, our group provided these trainings, and few key people went to get this training, to get this knowledge. There are a few interested parties from business who wanted to try this role of product owner. So I think it was like from IT side built from the existing team, and the rest there were people who wanted to try this change. Currently, we are following the approach of the feature team, where we have a team from 3 to 9 persons, mostly engineers, so testers, developers, and then you have Scrum Master and product owner for each of the team.
Interesting. By the way, on the slide with the internal customers of the PMO, I've noticed a lot of departments and structures, etc. Meanwhile, during the presentation, you were focusing mostly on the agile and as well as product building practices, let's put it that way. Could you describe a little bit more on how PMO serves the service part of the organization, not specifically about creating the products?
So for service part, I mentioned that we have changes, not only IT related, but also non-IT, where we have process efficiency or process changes in our organization. And here also we have Lean team who is supporting this kind of change. But I would say that we are even more going from this side to be still part of the team. So in our product team, we have we try to have end-to-end responsibility. So not only a product person and IT team, but also, for example, operation, who is then supporting this product. So this model is evolving, is engaging more and more roles from different bank units, and we have less and less some separate, projects related to like other service functions.
Okay, I see. Thank you. How exactly do you share learnings and how-tos? Emails, explanatory presentations, anything else? And there is also the related question, can you give more details about the learning events?
Yeah. So first of all, we have all our documentation and knowledge base and Confluence, which is very convenient because you can easily search, and we have like very good structured Confluence, I would say. So this is open to everybody. The moment we introduce any change, we organize kind of calls where we Q&A calls, so to say. We share the link where new update is described so that people can prepare themselves in advance. And then we have a session where we go shortly on the change, explain the specifics, and then people can ask their question. Then there are a few examples, so I explained a few. Then we have Lean Coffee with product owners and Scrum Masters, where the people come in and raising their concerns, their issues, and then one of the topic which was raised is voted and then discussed broader what could be done, and is there a need for further clarification or so. As well, we organized like for dependency this year was we really put attention to the dependencies discussion, and then the moment methodology is defined or the approach we are going to use, of course we are organizing joint meeting where we explain how it works and what are the rules, where you can find information, what are the frequently asked questions which you may have. And then during the execution, we can also have kind of Q&As, additional, or even specifically teams may request this training from our side. Like we use Jira to manage our backlogs, and we built a structure from the strategy to the team backlogs where we provide this competence from our side, and we support product owners and Scrum Masters how to build their roadmaps in Jira. Yeah, so we can do it for them, show based on the example. Yeah, I would say, and communities, which I was mentioning during the presentation. So, and communities for Scrum Masters, for project managers, where we share recent updates. We collect questions which are in interest, which are in like problem zone, for our people, and then help them to define best way out. Yeah, so few of them.
Great, thank you. Quick question: will you share the slides of your presentation anywhere?
Yeah, sure, of course.
Okay, nice. What was the source for scoring the team capabilities? Only feedback from other team member stakeholders or something else?
You mean team maturity, which I shared?
Yeah, I assume so. That's not my
Yeah.
question, but I assume.
There is a combination. So we currently have about 6 parameters which we are evaluating, and this is combination of those which are coming from the system automatically, like incidents or cycle time, which you can withdraw from Jira, and some are provided as an evaluation by team members themselves. So, for example, Scrum Master is evaluating how good is team setup, whether it is stable or not, whether new team members, whether cross-functional or not. Yes, so for every score point, there is a description what is the minimum requirement to get 1 point or 3 points. Then for test automation, for CI/CD, then it's also taken based on the systems, and so each parameter is supported by expert who is then looking at the parameters and may provide the comments why this or that point was granted and what needs to be done to improve that. So I would say this is a combination, and maturities even teams themselves provide. But the team maturity, as I mentioned, it's not about evaluation of the team, but it's to show where you are, which practices are on the mature level, and which you need to develop more, to put attention to. And then that's a good input for the team, for product owners to discuss with the team what to include in the next sprint in your backlog.
Interesting, thank you. Another question from our chat. What are the key performance indicators you're aligned to while assessing a company transformation?
I would say key financial indicators: gross income, number of clients, number of services available digitally, so and a few more. And for companies, that's about cost income ratio, return on equity. Yeah, so these are the key that I think every organization is using. And of course, it's then a question how you drill down to the team level. Of course, the teams are not having the same KPIs, but we as PMO are building this structure to really link how teams are contributing to bank KPIs.
That's interesting. Maybe another question will be, how did you connect the actual, let's say, transformation actions, such as, for instance, let's go Scrum, into it will help us to digitalize more services, or it will bring more equity?
And not everything is measurable. There are also qualitative KPIs. Yeah, and what you told about agile transformation, this is about your cultural change more, how your new way of work, which helps you at the end speed up. Of course, if you are good in measuring, then you can find out how to interpret it in the minutes, in the time to market. Yeah, but it's more indirect and more qualitative things than quantitative.
Yeah, that's just a very standard question, taking into account that the agile transformations are revolutionary by the nature. It's always interesting how a company come to the point like, oh, now we need to go agile, So a lot of companies reply on this question in a very different way. So that's why your perspective on that was really valuable.
Yes, and as I mentioned, this is currently there is such a big turbulence and changing environment, and everyone is talking about VUCA, bunny world, yeah, and you need to be flexible. And I think Agile is giving you this certain flexibility if you apply it reasonably. I do not think that the right approach is blankly follow less or safe or whatever, but to really withdraw best practices and then apply them like thinkfully. That's what every organization needs. Otherwise, then you will be beat by your competitors and you're gone.
Yeah, that's indeed true. You're also mentioning a lot about the roles on the team level, like product owners, business owners, teams, etc. What is the role composition of the PMO itself?
Well,
who are members of your PMO?
Yeah. In PMO, we have 15 project managers who are managing classical projects and one which are part of hybrid model. And we have in also 3 analysts who are working with the KPIs, with portfolio management, and how we are doing with our financials, whatever. And we have 4 senior experts who are supporting methodological things for Agile and for classical projects. We have a manager who is supporting our strategy and strategy performance. We do not have anymore the portfolios as you probably know with the banks, like for retail, for corporate, for treasury, whatever. So we are connecting them or structuring them according to the products we are developing in the bank, and giving more on their side the responsibility. But I think that's the separate topic for this speech.
Yeah, I understand.
But people-wise, we have 7 people, analysts and senior managers in the PMO, and 15 project managers. And what is also important probably to mention, that we are reporting directly to our chief executive officer. So that's why it's also give us a good opportunity to increase our maturity level to such extent, to really be more engaged in the strategy execution, strategy monitoring, and linking all the portfolio activities to the strategy, and really become as a partner, yeah, for our business, and yeah, good partner to all stakeholders.
Thank you. Very interesting. The very last question: will Raiffeisen's PMO take part in the PMO Awards this year?
No, no, we will not. We will give opportunity to other companies, but maybe next year.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Mariia, for your time and for your sharings. It was really valuable. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.